Every camp has a theme song that requires you sing along. The more we keep on drinking, the better we'll start singing. If you like to drink, wanna learn to fix your sink,
seems like a functional thing.
wanna earn some badges and unite with other badges. Let's make a place that we belong. Sing the campfire hoo-ha song.
We're gonna camp
Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! Gonna camp hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! Gonna camp hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! Gonna camp hoo-ha, hoo-ha.
Who are you? Are
You want the fun that camp brings,
I do.
but you really fucking hate camping.
I do.
Can make a craft or have a beer.
Craft beer.
You'll learn some useful shit here. That's what I hear anyway. Let's make a place that we belong and join the campfire hoo-ha song.
We're gonna camp
Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! Gonna camp hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! Gonna camp hoo-ha. Me? Hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Gonna camp hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Hoo-ha, 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 hoo-ha.
Hello, campers, and welcome to our 80s camp and Camp Hoo-Ha.
2 minutes, you were right.
Welcome back to you
That's
regular campers. You know the drill. You know how to hoo-ha. And welcome to any of you newbies who are just joining us for the first time and probably sitting at home wondering, what the fuck are we doing? Well, I'm going to give you a bit of the hoo-ha story. I'm going to take my glasses off because I am not Madonna. If you think that I am, I'm sorry if I fooled you. I am your hi hoo-ha. My name is Mel McKay, and I am the founder of Camp Hoo-Ha, which I started in 2017. And I started Camp Hoo-Ha because I think, like a lot of women my age, I was looking around and kind of felt a little bit lost, wasn't having a lot of fun. The work I was doing was not super fulfilling. And when I looked around at some of the women's events that were available, I noticed there maybe wasn't a space for us to just come together and connect for friendship, learning some new skills, getting together with some real authentic women, and earning badges. We earned badges as kids. Where's the life lessons and badges for us as adults? So that's what I started in 2017. We typically would be meeting together in person. We were hosting events in Calgary once a month. We had 130 campers come together, sit kind of, in kind of a fireside format. We'd have a camp counselor take the stage, teach us a new skill. And then we started going to other cities, and we're up and running in 10 other cities. And then when COVID hit, we obviously took camp to an online format so we could keep the community alive and still earn some badges and still have some fun and still learn some new skills. So we've been doing that for the last 20 months. We have gone back to some in-person events over the last couple months and are hoping to get our other chapters up and running soon so that we can hoo-ha across Canada. So that's the hoo-ha story. And I am so excited for 80s camp tonight. This one has been sort of brewing in my head for a while. You can see I have my Madonna glove on. I mean, I have a magic midi today, because that's the kind of day I was having. Anyways, the 80s camp came out of this idea where what if we kind of explored every decade and had a camp counselor that kind of can take us back in time to that era and tell us their story, and we can learn a little bit about that decade through somebody else's lens. And again, sort of learn some new insights and have fun, dress silly. And so as soon as the 80s camp idea came up, I knew I had one camp counselor in mind and one camp counselor only, which was the amazing Erica Ehm. So I went after her, and I'm so excited that she's able to take our virtual stage tonight. So she's going from VJ to the JJ tonight, I'll say. So she's really rounding out her resume as camp counselor. So what I think about the 80s too, I am a classic product of the 80s, but am I a good product of the 80s is the million-dollar question. And I feel like I am sort of, what you would expect somebody to come out of all of the things that happened in the 80s. I love processed foods. I love, my favorite dog is a Cocker Spaniel. There has been a million better dog breeds that have come along, but my heart still belongs to the Cocker Spaniel. I love everything about the 80s. I love big hair. The fact that I got to backcomb my hair tonight made me so happy. The 80s was all about big hair, big dreams, big shoulder pads, all of the excess that we kind of can fondly remember about the decade. And rules were loose. As kids, we had freedom. Was it too much freedom? Probably. But we just got to kind of live large. So rules were loose. And I don't know about for your household, but money was tight. So there was this sort of resourceful, sort of scrappy stuff that you had to do to create your own fun when you had a household where there wasn't, excess amount of money and resources to do things. So I loved the sort of scrappy, tight era of the 80s. I remember as a kid going to toy stores and saying to my mom, like, I want this. And she would be like, no, we don't have any money. And I'd be like, okay, let's just use the overdraft. Like that was a typical 80s kid thing to do. You knew that there was like broke and then a level after that. But the thing about the 80s too, which is, as much as we fondly remember the toys and the dress and, all of this nostalgic elements, I think tonight, especially looking through it through a different lens and digging deeper into some of the other things that were going on is exciting for me too. So I think for women, we saw a lot of this stuff. And as kids, we didn't really understand it. You saw what you saw, and it maybe isn't till later in life that you can understand the impact of everything we experienced. So we saw so many strong women, strong, powerful women, and they kind of had to be because they were building on the momentum of the earlier feminists that had kind of already established some basic rights for us. So in the 80s, these women were fighting harder for equal pay, for rights for us to protect us from physical violence and family rights. So there was kind of a lot on the line. So we saw these really strong women that at the time, again, we're just kind of seeing them and maybe not appreciating everything they were doing. We saw The Little Mermaid, who was the first kind of princess movie since Cinderella and Snow White. And The Little Mermaid was fighting against this sort of patriarchal underwater world where she was willing to trade her voice in order to live this fairy tale life on land and live her happy ever after with her prince. And the way the movie turns out is she gets to keep her voice and have her happy ever after. So that was such an interesting thing for us to see. And at the same time, we also saw Princess Diana, who obviously, seeing her life unfold, she lost her voice. And as girls, we probably saw really just how heavy the weight of that tiara was that we had romanticized for our childhood. We saw mom go back to work. Mom went to work, maybe in the 70s, 80s, whether she wanted to or had to go. She was working in schools and offices and hospitals. Mom was off. We had keys to the house. So again, we could kind of run amok. And when mom went back to work, it wasn't always glamorous. Like she was still working for less pay. She was facing sexual harassment. My mom, Mama Hoo-Ha, sold cowboy boots. We saw all the 80s movies about mom going back to work and becoming an executive. And there was all this shit about, the household would fall apart and she'd end up quitting her job. Baby boom, Diane Keaton ended up leaving her job to go start an apple orchard, with an adopted baby. So there was all these kind of crazy messages around the movies we were watching. And so we didn't care when mom went back to work because we got to go home And we had amazing sort of on-screen babysitters. We had Marlena from Days of Our Lives. She was taking care of us. And if she got possessed by the devil, it was okay because Erica M was there for us if we needed an extra set of eyes on us. So when Mom went back to work, advertisers had a heyday. There was the birth of a fitness craze. Magazines published a lot of these unrealistic agendas. We had this diet culture that came out. So now mom's got to go back to work, raise kids who are addicted to soap operas, fight for equality, and somehow magically stay super thin. Poor fucking mom, right? But, and you'll miss her. We have icons like Olympic athlete FloJo, who's Florence Griffith Joyner. She was fast and flashy and proved to us that we could be strong, and strong was way better than thin. We also saw finally that there was some movement in gay rights activism. We saw the Human Rights Code come into play in a lot of provinces. As kids, we didn't really notice that. We didn't really see that. But also we saw Kids in the Hall on TV.
Oh my God, the best.
Some real life gay characters, which was amazing. And again, as kids, we didn't really appreciate this at the time. We saw Madonna. And we all tried to be like her and do the lip curl, which I'm not going to try to do. She had, uninhibited sexuality, bold lyrics about religion, racism, abortion. She was wearing cone bras and publishing these crazy books. And it was taboo and it was exciting, especially when you were only 8 and wearing your lace glove to Catholic school. And if we were too young to really kind of embrace it, you would find your own sort of quiet way of celebrating these crazy strong women that were making us feel kind of bold and older and progressive. So we saw all these incredibly strong women, and they were, modeling stuff for nieces and daughters and neighbors and students. And then in December 1989, we saw 14 women who were massacred in the Montreal École Polytechnique massacre, which was like, at the time, such a crazy piece of news that still to this day, the scars are deep, and all of the same things that were happening 40 years ago, we're still working through all that stuff. So that was obviously a huge news story and a huge part of sort of the world of feminism and what we've sort of been through. So we also saw the goddamn Flintstones, the modern Stone Age family. Growing up, that was part of our daily life. We had lunch every day watching the Flintstones, watching Fred bellow out for Wilma every day. And I remember watching it and kind of thinking at the time, I remember Fred had the Water Buffalo Club. He was the grand poobah of a private club for men only, where they would get together every month and drink cactus juice and do God knows what behind closed doors, and the women weren't allowed. Can you imagine in today's day and age having a club only for women where we get together and drink and don't let men into the club? Oh, that could be what, Camp Hoo-Ha is a political response to Fred fucking Flintstone. Absolutely, maybe, I don't know. Anyways, that's my kind of 80s rant. I love thinking through all this stuff, internalizing it and talking about it, because I find it fascinating. But I love all the fun stuff too. I love the memories, the toys, the nostalgia. So welcome to 80s Camp Campers. Next up, I'm going to pass it over to our booze counselor, Carla, who's so excited to dig into some of our classic wines. She's not mad at me at all. Carla's going to pass it over to the J9, who's singing one, possibly 2 songs. She's throwing a surprise into the mix tonight. And then I'm going to introduce Erica, and we're going to let Erica tell her story. I'm going to watch for questions from you guys, because she is really excited to just sort of be a little bit spontaneous and take camper questions as we go. So, and then stick around at the end of camp. I have a lot of information to share with you guys about upcoming events, deals in the store, and all that stuff. Over to you, booze counselor.
Oh my gosh. Hello, gorgeous 80s ladies. So nice to be here. I'm a bit dizzying from Mel's monologue. If you guys aren't yet, that was a lot of flashbacks, a lot of triggers on memories. That was crazy. So I'm bringing you live tonight my 80s, which is my fluorescent, authentic Sun Ice outfit with matching headband. Yes, truly, truly, this is not from Value Village. This is my authentic ski outfit, which is going to age me. It just somehow ended up in the Halloween box as I traveled from house to house. But yeah, and part of my outfits, gosh, the side pony. I wonder how many of you have side ponies. Send in your picture. This felt like the easiest, the go-to, and it is. I got my bangs. I was very frustrated I could not find my blue eyeshadow tonight. That was a big key one for me, but I did, however, not forget my flashy, sparkly pink lips. And this is going to match some of our fluorescent tonight. It's also going to match some of our really interesting wines that we decided to do tonight. And my favorite Madonna you touched on, Like a Virgin, was my first LP. Love that. Grade 7, I walked in my Desperately Seeking Susan black suede little ankle booties, back and forth, killing my feet, all in the name of fashion. And I love the 80s. So tonight I thought, just for fun, I don't know how many of you actually purchased the wines that we put out, but I did not try them. I bought them so that I could save them for the most authentic wine tasting that we're ever going to do, probably together. So I saved them. The cap is still on. So if you've got the Mateus, this is so old school. When I go back to my days of learning wine, if you've been to Wine Ed, you have heard my first introduction to wine was my parents' hooch downstairs in the basement, in the crawl space, and I had no idea how to get this thing open. And that's when I found my ski poles, and I just figured out how to pop the corks in with my ski poles. This goes back that far. So this is my introduction. So what's really fun is these are easy screw caps. I'm liking the bottle so far. We're going to evaluate these wines like I would do any other one. I'm going to show you. We're going to go through like I would do any other wine to evaluate it. We're going to decide if it's got balance, if everything's in order, and if it's just pleasant or pleasing, or if it shows a barf emoji. I have no idea. We're going to find out together. So we're going to crack this bottle. Ooh, did you hear that? Okay. That had a little bit of noise to it. So we're going to start with the Mateus, if you've had it. So this, oh my words. Okay. Are you seeing that? Did it overheat? It's bubbly. It's bubbly. Okay. So ladies, we're dealing with the frizzante. This is a little bit of a frizzante. So we're in Portugal. We know that. So we're going to pour a little. We're going to have a look at it. And we're just going to observe that it's a very nice pink color. Bottle's beautiful so far. It's very pleasing. And we're going to swirl. We're going to swirl and look at this is a frizzante. It's got a little bubble. This is maybe why it's in the sparkling section of the liquor store. That's what's happening here. Okay, so we're going to give it a little sniff. Okay, now remember when we're smelling, don't stick your nose totally right into the bottom. You're just going to get alcohol. This one is showing at about 11%. We're going to go bridge of the nose, top of the glass. Okay, I'm getting some floral notes. Little lemon, little violet. Definitely some strawberry.
I don't know what you're getting. Let's give it a little mouthwash, shall we? Okay. 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 Oh, okay. It's interesting. So definitely foamed up in the mouth a little. It's got some good acidity. If you got those drippies going down the side like this, it's definitely holding its own. That means it's lively, it's fresh, it's got some acidity, but it tastes like rind, like lemon. I'm getting a lot of lemon rind on there. I don't know how many rinds you guys eat. Okay, now we're just going to do a normal sip.
Can she hear me right now? No.
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. I'm loving it.
Okay, so it's got definitely the citrus notes. And if you do a normal sip that's not kind of a mouthwash, as we're about, everything seems kind of in balance. You got flavor. It's still going on. You still got some acidity. You guys, I mean, this is kind of a straight smiley face with like a little curve. A little curve. Not so bad. Okay, Matus is holding up not so bad. Okay, you could enjoy this with your charcuterie. You can enjoy this with any kind of seafood. I like it with pasta. Even you could do anything deep fried. Anything a little bubbly, great with deep fried. Okay, Matus. So not doing so well. Not so bad, not so well. Now we're moving on to the Black Tower. Did anybody get this? Okay, this used to be a fully like black bottle, and it's quite pretty now. I thought it was quite interesting. Now this is a Ravaner, it says. So Ravaner is it's another word for Riesling, Sylvaner, and it says right on there it's supposed to be smooth and a sweet German white. So this is telling you a lot right already before we're going to do this. We're going to have a little bit of lower alcohol. This one's like 9.5%, which is surprising because it's sweet. So we have to prepare ourselves for sweet. You know, that just means we're going to love it or hate it is what's going to happen here. Could be a dessert, could be an aperitif. Let's give it a go. Did you lose me?
Okay.
Sorry, I'm back. Okay, we're giving it a go. Okay, looks nice and light. We're gonna give it a swirl. I don't know why this one's bubbling too. Oh dear. Okay, we're gonna give it a swirl. We're gonna give it a sniff. Okay, fresh, lemony, citrus. Maybe some white flowers. Yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know what else.
Put your whole face in there.
Let's just go for it. We're just going to go for it. Now's your mouthwash time. We're going to take a little in, squish it around. We want it to go everywhere. Yeah, not getting much. Anybody? Anybody getting anything on that one? Okay, here's what's so surprising. It's not killing me with sweetness. I was expecting it to be like over the top, maybe a little viscousy, heavy, but it's a German white sweet, but it's light. This is almost like it's almost like water. It's almost like water. And it's 9.5%. This might be a bonus. So now a normal sip. Normal sip.
Wine you can share with your kids like they did in the 80s.
This is going to go down really quickly. It's going to go down really fast. There's not a lot of acidity. So it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of like just drinking your water. So you could use this as your breather. When you drink regular, really good wine, this one could be your breather instead of water. I think that would happen. But not horrible. Maybe it's a barf emoji for some of you. I totally get that if you're not into that kind of sweet. But that is surprisingly for the price. I think we were at like 12, 13 bucks. You know, maybe if you're a first introduction new wine drinker, this would be just fine. So who knew? Here's to you, Black Tower. Just keep growing. We're excited. Okay, so that's it, you guys. Let me know what you think in the feed. That was a risky move, taking these wines. And I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think. Like, everybody's got their own palate, and that's kind of how we're evaluating. It's still going. Okay, there's something there. We'll just keep going. So I'll keep going as we hear what Janine is going to sing for us tonight. I don't know if there's an 80s tune on the menu tonight, but I will be drinking my Black Tower. So campers, enjoy your night. I can't wait to hear awesome stories from Erica Ehm. Cheers. I love you. Until next time.
I like Carla just turned water into wine for everybody. Drink this instead of water. Thanks, Carla. Oh, amazing. I have to say, this is probably going to forever be Mel's favorite camp because she's 100% 80s. Everything is 80s. It's like, we should do gardening camp. But what if it was 80s gardening? We should do denim camp. But what if it was 80s denim camp? Everything is 80s all the time. It doesn't matter. Any costumes we do, everything. She's like, but we need a banana clip and an acid wash denim jacket. I'm like, oh, for the love of God, woman, pick another decade for a second. But anyway, so with that said, one of the songs I'm going to sing is one that I wrote. Some of you guys will remember it from the beginning of pandemic, which it's not one of my favorites, and she loves it. And I only sing it when I'm under duress. She makes me, so it'll happen. The other day, I was having a conversation with my middle son, who is 17, and he was telling me about this Instagram page that some kids at his school started. And it's really actually just like a bullying page. And he was saying, it's really sad because they being mean to all these kids. Anyway, so he, in the process of telling me about this, I said, well, that's terrible, that they would do that to make people feel bad about themselves. And he says, yeah. And he's only 17. He says, sometimes I just wish it was the 80s. And I was like, me too, buddy. Me too. It was a simpler time. The biggest things I remember, my mom, we were 6 kids, and my mom was basically a single mom. She made all of our clothes, all our Halloween costumes, and all of our dinners, and she was amazing. There's a picture that I wish I had to share with you guys, but I'm actually at like an 80s ski chalet, if you guys can tell. And that's real. That's not even like a Zoom background. I'm really out here. Anyway, there's a picture of us in our backyard, and one of my brothers is in like a full Superman costume that my mom actually made. And it's not Halloween, it's like summertime. He's wearing this full Superman costume. My other brother is wearing a full Luke Skywalker costume, and me and my sister and my cousin are all dressed as Princess Leia, and we're having lightsaber fight in the backyard. And there's just like this amazing photo of it. And that's always what I think of when I think of the 80s. It's just like free play, super fun, kids being kids. And of course, like the Olympics is obviously a big thing that I remember, because I think I was in grade 5 when the Olympics came to Calgary. So anyway, enough of that. I wrote a song. I wasn't going to, because I was going to sing the song that Mel wanted me to sing, which I will. But the 80s, I have to admit, which is probably why Mel loves it, is the easiest thing to talk about. There's so many things happened in the 80s, and so many cool things, and just like so much stuff. So even the song that Mel loves, it's really long as it is, and it could have been even longer because there's just so much. And so there was a few more things I wanted to say. So they made it into a different song, and it's a bit of an ode to Erica Ehm in a very small way. So thank her for being here. I used to watch Much Music at my grandma's house. When my parents got divorced, we moved to Calgary from Vulcan, and we lived at my grandma's, and we would sit in the spare room, me and my cousin Maya, and watch Much Music literally all day long. We'd have our, magazines, all the, Tiger Beat and everything out, and just, it was like the greatest times. And that's how we lived our days, was just watching Much Music. So anyway, here it is. The song. It's called If I Had a DeLorean. 1980s was 40 years ago, so if you remember the 80s, you'd be hella old. I came of age in the 80s, gnarly, I know. And if I had a DeLorean back then is where I'd go. I'd head straight to my closet, put on my parachute pants. I'd kick on my Reeboks and do a radical break dance. I'd slip into my K-Way, head to the local mall, go see a movie starring Michael Anthony Hall. Streetlights turn on, that means supper soon. We're having lean cuisine again, gag me with a spoon. Turn on the TV, adjust the bunny ears. Up comes the video, shout by Tears for Fears. Watch much music for the rest of the day. Entertained by Erica Ehm, my favorite DJ. Yeah, the 1980s was 40 years ago. So if you remember the 80s, you'd be hella old. I came of age in the 80s, gnarly, I know. And if I had a DeLorean back then is where I'd go. I'd head straight to my Rubik's Cube with a hack to solve it quicker. I just use my fingertips to peel off all the stickers. Pick up Teddy Ruxpin, he asks, can we be friends? But I think his eyes are creepy, so that all depends. Rather play with my Monshishi, not sure exactly what it is. Oh, I just saying that wrong. I'd rather play with my Monshishi, not sure exactly what it is, but it brings joy to me. I'm feeling rather hungry, go grab some snacks. We only have wacky wafers, grody to the max. Sitting with my Cabbage Patch Kids, watch much music with them. Did I mention my favorite VJ is the bodacious Erica Ehm? 1980s was 40 years ago. So if you remember the 80s, you'd be hella old. I came of age in the 80s, gnarly, I know. And if I had a DeLorean back then is where I'd go. Yeah, I came of age in the 80s, Jupiter, I know. And if I had a DeLorean back then is where I'd go. Yeah, if I had a DeLorean back then is where I'd go. You know you had a Teddy Ruxpin. Also, I have to say, I don't think Erica will remember this, but I met Erica Ehm at a meetup in Calgary. Time has no meaning anymore because I want to say that it was like 15 years ago, but I have a feeling, would it have been that long ago?
No, probably.
Or like 10 years ago? Does that sound more realistic?
Was it with the Yummy Mummy Club?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was probably 12 years ago.
Because I can't, yeah, okay. I couldn't remember if my daughter was born, but anyway. Okay, so I'm going to do this song that Mel loves so much that she wants me to sing. And I
Love it.
She loves it. It's slam poetry. I have all my notes here because I don't know it very well. The biggest thing kids today are missing from the 80s is having posters on their fucking walls because everything is on Instagram and Pinterest and fucking computers and screens and everything. Oh my God, the greatest feeling in the world is tearing something out of a magazine and putting it on your wall. I still do it today. I put it on a fucking corkboard. I don't give a shit. If I like it, it's going on the corkboard. So anyway, here it is. I have all my notes.
Corkboard now?
Well, the corkboard, not my wall. You know, a corkboard. Did I make that word up? I did not. You guys know that word. Anyway. So this song I originally wrote almost 2 years ago now at the beginning of quarantine when we did our paint night, our 80s paint night that Mandy did for us, which was so awesome. And it's called Issues. I have issues. It doesn't really have a name. Paint night in quarantine. I was asked a simple question, or so it seemed. Who was my crush when I was a teen? I had to look back, and oh, what a scene. Looking back, I realized I had issues, plenty of issues. Of Tiger Beat magazine, and whoever happened to be on the cover would be my lover, the boy of my dreams. March 88. I was planning my wedding, writing my vows to that quirky Michael J. Fox, but then April came. along with a problem because there were 5 new kids on the block. My heart ached for each and every one of them, except maybe that older brother, Jonathan. I chose Joey. But soon we had growing pains. I blamed Kirk Cameron because we were on again, off again. Looking back, I realized I had issues, plenty of issues. Of Tiger Beat magazine, and whoever happened to be on the cover would be my lover, the boy of my dreams. Making out with posters was what I liked best. My first kiss was Michael Jackson in his yellow sweater vest. French and Scott Baio was great practice for me. You can tell because there's a hole where his mouth used to be. Johnny Depp gave me that special feeling. So I hung his poster high up on my ceiling, and I'd stare up deep into his eyes with a pillow tucked tightly between my thighs. Looking back, I realized I had issues, plenty of issues. Of Tiger Beat magazine, and whoever happened to be on the cover would be my lover, the boy of my dreams. 2 Corys, you think that'd be confusing. Am I talking Feldman or am I talking Haim? Well, that's nothing compared to the confusion Alyssa Milano brought me. Damn, that girl drove me insane. Did I like her because I wanted to be like her, or did I like her because I like her? I'm not sure. But if our paths ever crossed, I'd still like her to show me who's boss. Looking back, I realized I had issues, plenty of issues. Of Tiger Beat magazine, and whoever happened to be on the cover would be my lover, the boy of my dreams. I had one crush whose copies flew off the shelves. He was from out of this world. His name was Alf. He gave me that special feeling, so I hung his poster high up on my ceiling. Alf was a bad boy who liked to eat cats, and to be honest, I was okay with that. It turned me on that he wasn't a wussy. He was a bad boy, the type that likes to eat. Looking back, I realized I had issues, plenty of issues. Of Tiger Beat magazine, and whoever happened to be on the cover would be my lover, the boy or girl or alien of my dreams. That's it. Thanks, everybody. You guys, bye.
Hey, love it.
Thank you, Jana, and thank you, Carla. That was so much fun. We're going a little bit long tonight, so I'm going to quickly bring up Erica Ehm. I just want to say how grateful I am to have her as camp counselor. I think for a lot of us growing up, you know, grew up small town, prairies, and you saw the world through this tiny kind of window, and you only saw women doing certain things and acting a certain way. So women like Erica showed us that the world could be much bigger for us, and that little old me and little old you could go out and take up a lot more space in it. So welcome, Erica. Beyond much music, she's going to talk about some of the other things she's done. She's a songwriter. She's got her Yummy Mummy Club. She has written stage musicals, authored books, and has all sorts of cool stuff going on. So over to you, Camp Counselor Erica.
Yay! It's late for me. This is past my goddamn bedtime, ladies. Okay. It's a hard thing to know where to start. So I want you to feel free to throw in your questions and I will answer them, because my memory of the 80s is the opposite of yours, because I was sort of on the other side of the screen. I'm probably older than the majority of you because you were watching me. So I'm not that much older, but I'm older. I was probably already working while you guys were still in schools. I was kind of serious at a young age. I was serious, but I was rocking at the same time, if you know what I mean. A little bit, I guess I'll just tell you a little bit about me. I'll just tell you stuff that I don't tell many people. Most people don't have the patience to listen, but since you're probably drunk anyway, you are just relaxed and you'll go, Erica, just talk to me. So I was obsessed with the music business at a very young age. I've always been kind of intense, and I decided when I was about 15 years old, when I was living in Hudson, Quebec, small town in Quebec, listening to, Peter Frampton and Aerosmith and Kiss, that I was going to be in the music business. And so I used to, go to all the school dances. I knew all the songs. I rocked out, air guitar, the whole thing, but I actually wanted to play drums. When I moved to Montreal to go to CEGEP, which is like college, my big break was not working at the college radio station, which I did, but rather there was a contest not in my school, but like in Montreal by Chom FM. Chom FM was a big rock radio station, and they had a contest called School Spirit. You could win a free concert. Your school could win a free concert with Max Webster if your school sent Chom FM the most postcards. And so I didn't really like school very much. So I thought, we need to win this goddamn concert because I want to see Max Webster at my school. So I organized something like Mel, kind of I could tell we were very similar in this way. I organized a sign up in the CAF. And like I photocopied paper and I turned them into little postcards, like yay big, name, school. And we filled up boxes and boxes of these ballots, basically. And then I had a friend drive me to Chom FM, and we delivered boxes of these ballots before the contest ended. And those bastards announced my idea on the radio, which meant that all the big schools started to do the same thing, and they had way more money to buy more paper. So we didn't win. So I was pissed off. So I organized a parade from Chom FM in Montreal down sort of Westmount, and we closed off Green Avenue, which was where the radio station was. Now, Chom FM was the coolest radio station. So we had this big parade, and there were people holding signs. There were motorcycles, trucks, cars, bicycles, and everybody was shouting, "We want Max." Do you guys even know who Max Webster is? Patio Lanterns is...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a lead singer from Patio Lanterns. It was his band. Kim, help me, what? Kim Mitchell. Yeah, it's Kim Mitchell's band. So what happened was the DJ from Chom came outside and said, "Who's in charge?" And everybody said, "Erica." So I got to go. I was probably 16, maybe 17 at the time, and I got to go into Chom FM and be interviewed on the radio about, what was going on. And so that was cool. I didn't get a job or anything like that. It was just cool being on the radio then. And then a few months later, I was pretty proud of my outfit. The Cars were playing at the Montreal Forum. So I got dressed in my secondhand vest. I had like an old Navy jacket, not the color Navy, but like literally from the Navy, and a pair of skinny plaid pants and some heels from the 40s, black pumps from the 40s. I was ultra new wave. And I went to the concert, and wouldn't you know it, I saw in front of me, a few rows in front of me at this concert, this guy named Rob Braid. Rob Braid was the program director at Chom FM, and he was one of the people that I met when I was inside. So I walked up to him right before the concert started, and I said, "Hi, I'm Erica. We met when I was at Chom FM the other day, and I was interviewed, and can I have a job?" And he looked at me, he said, "I'm here to see a concert. If you want to talk to me, call my assistant." And so I freaking did. I called the assistant. "Hi, I'm Erica. I met Rob Braid at a concert, and I'd really like to have a meeting with him." So I got a meeting, and I sat with him, and I asked him for a job, and he said no. And I was like, "What?" He said, "I can't give you a job because you're still in school. But if you want to come and work for me for free, you could be my music librarian. And that would mean you can come in every day if you want after school. You can organize the albums. It was vinyl at the time. And you get to walk in here anytime you want, hang out with bands, learn the business." Got the freaking job at Chom FM at 17. And then when people at my school heard, they was like, "How did Erica get the job?" And I was like, "I asked, haha." But that really is an ongoing theme in my life. That's kind of how most of the things have worked. Very rarely has anybody offered me or invited me to do stuff, maybe except Mel, who invited me here tonight. But for the most part, I've really had to be very aggressive. I know some people might call me a bitch, but yeah, I'll take that as a compliment. So I'll fast forward. I was working at Shom. I was in the music business. I started to DJ in clubs, nightclubs, by the time I was 18, because I was in Montreal. I was like a punk DJ. And I worked at radio station, record stores. And, you know, like I was just fully in. And I took a year off of school. And then I went to university, got a degree. So the year is around 1980, 81. Okay, so we're in the 80s now. I get my degree and in communications. Oh, the reason I went to Ottawa University is because U2 played at the club called Le Club Montréal, Le Club Montreal, and I used to DJ at that club, so I was allowed to come in for their sound check. And Bono this is their brand. They're the first time they've ever played in North America, and I was like freaking out because I loved them so much. And I walked up to Bono, was in the back of the club, just hanging out. I said, "Hi, my name is Erica. I just love you guys so much, and I play your music when I DJ and everything." And I think I kind of overpowered him a little bit because I was so excited. And he said, "You know, you should be in PR." I was like, "What's that?" He said, "Public relations." I said, "I'm going to do that." And so I went to Ottawa University because they had a communications program there. And I wanted to learn PR because Bono sent me. So I did my degree at Ottawa University, and then I called up Moses Neimer, who was the owner of City TV. And City TV was where the best music show in the history of the world. So I'm reading your comments. Mary Jo, you've seen U2 9 times? Holy crap, I'm jealous.
I'm grabbing some of these comments and questions too. So
okay, but that's so cool. So I called up and I said, "Can I have a meeting with Moses, who runs the coolest show in the history of the world called The New Music?" Because I decided that I needed to work there, even though it was in Toronto and I was living in Ottawa at the time. And it turned out that Moses was in fact coming to Ottawa for a CRTC hearing, and he met with me. He met with me for lunch, and he was very nice. And we started talking, and he said, "Well, what would you like to do at City TV?" And I said, "I don't know, just something creative." And he said, "Everything at City TV is creative." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And he said, "You know what? You're just a spoiled kid." And he kind of dismissed me. And I looked at him and I said, "Fuck off." And I got up and I walked out of there. And I started walking back to my apartment. And I was so angry that he was dismissing me like that. And I got halfway to my apartment and I marched back because I was thinking, why is he talking to me that way? How old was I? I was maybe 19, maybe 20. I marched back and I said, "If we're going to talk like professionals, then treat me like a professional." And he said, "Okay, you're hired." True story. So that's how I got my first job. And my job is essentially to answer the phones for The New Music. I was there in this little small office at City TV, and my job is literally to answer the phones. And I was working with J.D. Roberts at the time, and Jeannie Becker. Daniel Richler started the same time as me. Simon Evans, who became a VJ on Much Music eventually, he started off as an intern on that day. And basically, it was like there was no Much Music at the time. This was 3 years before Much Music started, but I was in my happy place. I was at the epicenter of the entertainment world, at least in Toronto, and I got to learn the business, and I started to meet all the people in the music business. And at the same time, I worked part-time. I called up a local cable company, a McLean Hunter Cable, and I said, "Hi, my name is Erica, and I would like to be on camera. Can I have a show?" And the guy went, "Okay." Literally, he didn't know anything about me. I went there and I got an entertainment show. So I would work during the week, during the day at City, the new music, and at nights and weekends, I would work at the cable company for free. And after about 3 years, we got the license for Much Music. So I already was in the office with everybody. And I made a demo tape to go on Much Music. I showed it to JD Roberts, and he goes, "That is terrible." And he asked we call it the crew. I think you know what I'm talking about. All the people, the camera guys and the editors and stuff. You used to see them in the background all the time, but they were like the team of people that I worked with all the time. And he said, "Would you shoot a demo for Erica?" Which they did. And I gave it to my bosses. And a couple months later, they gave me the job on Much Music. So there is sort of a misunderstanding about me on Much Music, which was I was the first girl on Much Music, but in fact, that is not accurate. I don't know. Do you guys know that? Do you know that I actually wasn't the first woman on Much Music? There was actually a woman named Catherine McClenahan who was hired about 3 months before me. And she only stayed for about 3 months. She had a fallout with Moses, and I guess I replaced her. So really, I was the first female VJ who stayed, but I wasn't the very first one. I was at Much Music for a decade. So I worked for 3 years behind the scenes before I got my job on air, and then I stayed as a VJ on Much Music for 10 years. My first day, when I was introduced by JD Roberts, who was very proud of me because he was kind of my mentor. And I remember there's a video somewhere of my first day, and he says, "And now everybody wants you to meet the newest VJ on Much Music, Erica Ehm." And I was like, and I froze. My jaw locked. I couldn't talk. I freaked. And he just kept on talking, and I just kind of loosened up and I started to talk. But my voice, I don't know if you remember, but my voice was like, "Hi, I'm Erica. So happy to be here." And if you watch tapes of me, you'll notice that my voice became progressively lower through the years. And then, I have a daughter now who is, she's just turning 18. And I taught her to speak at a young age, to not have a high voice, because I really feel like your voice, women's voices, when you speak really high, it doesn't have a lot of gravitas. And I think I struggled a lot over the years because when I started on Much Music, as I said, I didn't really have a lot of broadcast experience, especially live. Guys, I was on TV every day, usually 5 days a week, with no script, no director, no makeup artist, no stylist, nothing. Just me and all of Canada watching. Every 12 minutes would be another, what we called throw. And I wasn't seasoned. I was knowledgeable about music. So that's one thing that Moses only hired people with big personalities. He didn't actually care if someone was a broadcaster. His philosophy is that you can teach anybody broadcasting, but you can't teach people passion, and you can't teach people personality. And so, I passed his test. I was sassy to him. And so everybody that you talk to who worked at Much has a story like that. Not the same thing, but he did put everybody through some sort of a personality test in a way. And in fact, do you guys know that I'll tell you after, but I do have a podcast called Reinvention of the VJ. I stopped doing it over the summer because I just was tired of working, but I did interview 20 people who were on air with me, and to talk about their experiences and to see if people's experiences were the same as mine or how they were different. Because there is a thing, like we were at the epicenter of Canadian culture. And we experience something that is very hard to explain or describe. And it's almost like we survived together because it was absolute chaos there most of the time. So yes, I'd be live for 4 hours a day with no script and no direction. On top of that, we were in what Moses called a living movie. So it wasn't a studio, it was our working office. So there were probably around 30 people in that room, phones ringing, people walking in and out, having meetings, bands walking through your shot. And you had to focus. You also had to learn how to sort of be fluid and go with the flow, because things would go wrong all the time, as you probably remember, which was part of the fun of it. I learned very early that I had no dignity. I sort of gave it up because we would make mistakes all the time. And myself in particular, I was apparently the worst on air because I had no broadcast experience. And when you're just talking live for 4 hours a day without that sort of understanding of structure, people made fun of me. Do you remember that? You could tell me in the comments. Do you remember? I mean, people would say terrible things about me. The reporters would write about me and talk about what an airhead I was. I mean, it was really hard back then. I sort of get emotional thinking about it. And I just had to say, fuck you to everybody and keep on going. And to say to myself, I love what I do, and I'm going to continually get better. And that sort of tenaciousness also served me really well when I interviewed bands, because often they would hit on me, but more importantly, they would dismiss me. And they'd think that I would ask a question and they didn't want to answer it, and so that they would just be goofy. But I would ask, I don't know if you remember this, but I would ask it again, or I would call them on it. So, but I was sweet, but I was sweetly tough, if there is such a thing. What else would be interesting for you to know? Did I hang out with, yes.
How did you, because nowadays it's like you see what other people experience from a like public pressure and sort of the, the social media sort of, backlash people get. So you went into a job it was a brand new thing. So how did you prepare yourself knowing that you didn't have, any sort of other people to guide you? I guess you said that you guys were kind of a family and you did it together, but how did you mentally prepare yourself for that, knowing that you were one of the first?
I did not prepare myself whatsoever. It was irrelevant. I was just so excited to do the job. I mean, it's hard to explain, and I'm sure there's many people who are watching this right now who have that passion for something where you don't prepare yourself. You just sort of dive in, sink or swim. And there was really no way to prepare yourself anyway, because no one had ever done this before. The idea of someone talking live into a camera directly to you with no script, that hadn't actually been done before. Mm-hmm. That direct emotional connection between the TV host and the audience, the viewers, our people, that was new. We made it up. So the one thing I can tell you is I had zero interest in being famous. So not important to me, never was. Janine, when I met you when we did the Yummy Mummy thing years ago, I'm like normal. I'm a normal person. And I especially love women and moms in particular. I have a very strong affinity, but I've always been incredibly down to earth and hardworking. I just like to frickin' work and do the thing, right? Just like to do. At that point, it was the music business. So I was working at Much. And what's weird is when I got my job on camera, the way the office was, is that we all had desks and the cameras would move around. And so when I got the job on air, I basically had the same desk. They just would put a camera in front of it sometimes. Like it was the same thing. So it wasn't really such a big deal. It's just that my role within the office changed. And then I used to walk along Queen Street with my girlfriend, Wendy and Jackie, and I would hear this. And I was like, what's going on? And I realized that people were whispering, that's Erica, that's Erica. I know this is a crazy thing, but I literally went, oh my God, there's people watching me. And I mean, I didn't really think about the fact that people were really watching me, that they cared about me on TV. Do you know what I mean? So it was weird. And that freaked me out because I'm actually quite an introvert, believe it or not, which is why COVID's been great for me. But I'm an introvert with a deep desire to connect and tell stories and share information, entertain. I also am, when I was on Much Music, I felt a real responsibility to be a role model. No one told me to. I wasn't expected to, but I just knew that I was like the girl. So I knew that when I wore clothes on Much Music that you were all watching. And the way that I held myself and the way I allowed people to treat me would say something to you. And I was conscious of every single thing that I said all the time as to how it would land on you and how I would be impacting not my peers because you were a bit younger than me, but young people. I wanted you to know that you can be cool and nice. I wanted you to know that you could be cool and not do drugs. I wanted you to know that you could be cool and read books and that you could be cool and be gaga over a band, but that you could be a woman and stand up to a guy. Those were all really important to me. And so if you look back at old tapes or interviews with that in mind, you'll see it. You'll see that I wanted to be very strong because I knew that I wanted other women to be strong. And at the same time, it was very interesting because I used to get a lot of hate mail from girls, lots, mostly about the way I looked, how ugly I was. And it was interesting because I wasn't ugly, but I wasn't like model perfect. And Moses did that on purpose because I was attractive enough so that every single woman could say, why did she get the job? I'm as good looking as her. I can do that. She's not even that good. She's so average. And he did that on purpose. Now he picked Monica Diol, who's a different on-air person. She's stunning. She's statuesque. She's elegant, completely different than me. And that was more like she's like aspirational. She's like a goddess. I was like the Marianne, if you know what I don't know how old you are, but like I was the Marianne. She was more of the ginger, you know? And I liked that role. I wanted to be, and I still am, the person who says, but you can do it. Anyone could do anything if you just work hard enough and, you know, make the right moves and go for your dreams, like what I did in my case. And by the way, I'm wearing my original Much Music jacket. I don't know if do you remember this jacket? This was my boyfriend, Doug, was a Queen Street artist.
It wasn't Doug and the Slugs, Doug.
No, it's not Doug with his slug. No, it's Doug McCrae. Yeah, he made this for me. And now my daughter has it. So I said, Jess, can I borrow my jacket that I wore on Much Music? Okay, what else?
I have a question for you based on sort of the last sort of piece you're talking about, which, I mean, we're online for whatever collective me, J9 and Carla, 20 minutes, a half an hour once a month. You're on camera for 4 hours a day, appearing, you use the word chill several times. Like, you look chill and cool to us. And one thing I've always said to campers too, I'm like, we're not perfect. We can't be perfect. I'll never be perfect. Camp is going to be a fucking hot mess all the time. And that's just how it's going to be, you know, technically, events, whatever. And that's who I am. And we're going to be accountable. We're going to be awesome, but it's going to be messy. So how did you internalize that? Or what did you do to help, you know, publicly deal with the pressure that was obviously like huge?
Two things. Early on, I realized that I was never going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I said before, like I had, what I said, I had no dignity. Like I was just goof. You just have to be like loose. And people, I realized that people appreciated that. If you're loose, your audience is loose. If you look nervous, you make your audience nervous. If you make a mistake and you have that like, oh, I just made a mistake, then it makes the people watching uncomfortable. But if you make a mistake and you go and you laugh and you can just like whatever and keep on going, it's everybody just sort of forgives and you move on. So it's how you react to your mistakes, I think was sort of separated the good on air people from the not good on air people. And I made so many mistakes, I got really good at laughing at them, you know, and then I started to get smoother. The more I did it, my brain started working quicker and you start to learn how to formulate your thoughts. You know, it's funny, they never trained me on much. They just said like, okay, your first shift is tomorrow. See ya, like go. One guy from a guy named Bobby Gale, who worked at a record company, the record company guys would come in all the time to drop off the latest videos. And so we were all friends. It's like a bit of a scene. And we were at a club called the Diamond Club, which is now called the Phoenix Club. And he came up to me and said, Erica, can I give you some advice? And I was like, yeah, sure. He goes, you don't know how to tell stories. I was like, I don't know what you mean. And he said, when you're on camera, and you guys do this really well, by the way, I'm watching you. So when you go on camera or anywhere, when you're broadcasting, when you're in front of people, you need to start a story at the beginning, and then you need to, you know, add the middle juicy part, and then it needs to end. You have to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And I was like, whoa. It's like, and it changed my entire on-camera, not presentation, but the way I formulated we call them throws. They completely changed. No one even told me that. My bosses never told me that. Erica, start at the beginning, middle, end. I was 23. What did I know? So, you know, I would learn things just by doing it. I'd learn little tricks along the way. But I just understood that I'll never be the best, but I'm always good enough.
I'm going to ask you a couple questions about interviews with some of the artists in a second. Two other questions. Mary Jo Neighbors said her husband would leave her for you. Would you leave your husband for Mary Jo Neighbors' husband?
No, but I would leave my husband for Mary Jo.
Okay, she's going to be super excited to hear that. Okay, thanks for covering that one off. So what do you think it was about the 80s decade that maybe made your job easier than if you were 23 now doing it?
Well, it's so hard to answer because we were all younger at the time and it was simpler. The thing about social media today is that everybody has a voice. Everybody is broadcaster. And the problem is not everyone is a nice person. And so I kind of wish that people should have to pass a test to be allowed to be on Facebook and Twitter, etc. They have to have a certain level of intelligence or emotional intelligence, at least, to carry on a conversation. You can't be a bully. You can't lie. You can't put misinformation out there. But, that's the power now of everybody being this sort of micro broadcaster with no one to answer to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a problem right now. That's just me. But at the same time, it's beautiful because there are these voices now, even like you guys, you have a huge following, and you're doing what I did. You're entertaining, you're informing, you're curating new ideas, you're creating great conversation, you're building community. That's amazing. That's the positive side of social media. So it can be misused in the wrong hands.
Favorite artist you interviewed, and then if you have the chance to go back and re-interview somebody, who would that be?
It's such a tough question. I get asked that question all the time, and there's different people for different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So Crowded House, they would be my favorite returning artists. Like, I interviewed them many times and became friendly with them. Same thing with Dwight Yoakam. I interviewed him many times. We became friends, loved him. He's so smart, sexy, loved him. Speaking of sexy, I interviewed Sting once, and and I interviewed him. It was not a live interview. It was backstage at, I think, the Sky Dome in Toronto. And we did the interview. And then at the end of the interview, he looks at me and he goes, "You're very beautiful." And I looked at my cameraman behind me. I said, "Did you get that?" And he's like, "Nah," turned off the camera. So it's embedded in my brain. But I did see him again. I have a girlfriend, her name's Andrea, and she's a real troublemaker. I really love her. So we get in really good trouble together. And so Sting had come to Toronto about 3 years ago. He had a play called Shipbuilding, and he was there for the premiere. And Andrea and I were there, and we snuck backstage after. We went I wasn't invited, but we went there anyway. And Sting was there. And I walked up to him and I said, "Do you remember me?" He was like, "No." I said, "Okay, well, I interviewed you many years ago." And he's like, "Well, he didn't say you're very beautiful." I said, "You said I was very beautiful or something." And he said, "Oh, yes," or something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly because I was making an ass of myself, but Andrea and I were just howling. We just had the best night.
Okay, biggest dick you ever interviewed? Not dick you saw, but dick.
Yeah. There were many of them. I could name them mostly off.
And was there any pattern to who was a bigger dick? Who would be a bigger dick?
There were men.
Yeah.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, really didn't like them. Kiss, I hated them. They were misogynist idiots. Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols was just dumb. I think those are the one. I mean, there were so many. A lot of them were just forgettable, right?
Or career or interview highlight. Somebody asked about the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, which was the anniversary was a few days ago. So
yeah,
sort of big, monumental, sort of iconic events that were really special to you.
Well, I think it was one of the most memorable things that I experienced was when Spinal Tap came to town. And I was chosen to tour with them on Canada Day across the country. So we started off at Kitty Vitty Park in Newfoundland in not the morning, but it must have been around the morning. And then we celebrated Canada Day. Then we got into a private plane and we flew to Toronto or to Barrie, Ontario, touched down, went on a huge stage again, and we celebrated Canada Day in Barrie. And then we jumped back on our private plane and we flew to Vancouver and we celebrated Canada Day in a huge concert in Vancouver. And it was the most fun because those guys are funny, and they dropped their characters on the plane. So I was able to just spend time with them, and they're lovely and smart and charming and funny. But to host 3 huge concerts in one day right across the country, that was incredible.
Love it. What did your parents think of your job growing up? What was the sort of, familial perspective, I guess? Or did it change anything, make it harder, easier?
My parents were so proud of me. As a parent now, I hope that I'm as cool as my parents were. Think about it. When I was 18 years old, I was DJing in clubs till 3:00 in the morning. One night I brought home Suggs from Madness and woke up my sister at 3 a.m. and I was like, look who's here. And he's like, hello, love. And he slept on the sofa. My parents have always instilled in my sister and I to just do what you love. And they just let us do crazy things and gave us courage and said that anything is possible. So they were so proud of me. They still are. My mom passed away 2 years ago, which sucks. But my dad just celebrated his 82nd birthday. And he's so proud of me. Who wouldn't be? Look what I did. Mm-hmm. Look what I did. And it's not that I was famous. It's that I manifested this incredible life by working really hard, by going for what I want, for being nice to people, because really success is about relationships. At least I think it is. And by having confidence in myself that allows me to put myself in really hard situations over and over again and to test myself. Can I do it? The hardest thing, though, is being a parent of a teenager. Am I right, Janine? Yeah. So my daughter is 18. My son is 21. And my last few years have been really, really hard. And I keep on saying, God, if I could have done... If I survived, interviewing Red Hot Chili Peppers, I should be able to raise a teenager, right?
So what do you kind of take from sort of the 80s decade and your Much Music experience that you kind of would say you would bring forward to either parenting or sort of living in, the world we're in today? I know you've probably touched on some of it, but especially your daughter too. It's like, you've got all these amazing tools and experiences that you get to pass on to her that are so incredible.
I don't know if it's so much the 80s.
Yeah.
I think it's more just feminism in general, to being a strong, independent woman and not being afraid to ask for what you want and not being afraid to do what it is you love in life. I will tell you that the other day, my daughter on Instagram shared the video that I did, the interview with Kurt Cobain. She put it in her story. She didn't say, this is my mom. She just shared it. And, she's been, and my son have had to deal with my God, you know who your mom is? She's so cool. And they go, yeah, we know who her mom is. Like, mom, whatever. And just recently, my daughter went, oh my God, you're so cool. She just became old enough to understand that I interviewed Kurt Cobain. Like, she knew it, but she didn't understand sort of sociologically what that meant. She didn't understand, and now she wears some, I have a few of my clothes that I can't fit into anymore. And so she wears them and she's like, Mom, I'm wearing your clothes now. So she is going to be a force. I don't know what she's going to do in life, but it will be interesting.
Amazing. I'm going to do a quick wrap up. We're at 9:20. I'm going to see if there's any last questions. And then, I'm going to bring the team up. Somebody's asking, who would you say the most famous person was that you would have interviewed, or sort of the biggest name, I guess, or the one that you were maybe the most nervous to interview?
I probably was nervous to interview Kurt Cobain, just because I heard he was a bit of a prick. So, we don't like walking into difficult interviews, right? Because you need to, like, that was done in Seattle. So I was flown there. It's expensive, right? You're flown there, you have to come back with something good. And when you know that someone is sort of anti-authoritarian and, doesn't like mainstream media, and it's going to be hard. And I came back with the best interview ever. But I was nervous. But what I did, I had a strategy when I was going to interview Kurt Cobain, because I knew that he was, pretty edgy. And so when he walked in, this was in a hotel room, because what they do for junkets, I don't know if you know what a junket is like when they invite all the media to interview an artist, could be a musician or a movie star, and you do it in a hotel room, and you basically are put in different hotel rooms, and the artist goes from room to room to room, and they whack off like 30 interviews in a day, whatever the word is. You like that one, Janine? Yep. And so I wanted my interview to stand out. She's still laughing. Look at that. You're so funny. And
taking an edible already.
He walked into the.
I'm writing a song about people whacking off in a hotel room right now, Erica.
Okay. This is inspired by Erica Ehm.
It's going to be called Junket. I love it.
So he walked into the hotel room and I said, hey, I'm Erica. Do you want to do the interview in bed or on the balcony? And he kind of looked flustered, and he went, on the balcony. And I was like, great, let's go. And so we set up, but I forced him to sort of see me, like it kind of made him look at me as a person. And then when I interviewed him, I was very unprofessional. I was very casual. I made the questions quite personal. I giggled. I did things to make him see me not as a threatening mainstream journalist. And people say it's the best interview that has ever been done with him. And it was on purpose. I had a strategy on how to sort of disarm him and make him be a person and not talk to him like he's some sort of rock god, because I think he was very uncomfortable with that, people making a big fuss about him. So I did the opposite, and it worked really well.
How did it feel when the news came out that he had died? Like he's obviously been sort of, immortalized as somebody that's so, incredible to the 90s, and because of who he was. So how does it feel to have been that close to him and had that connection to him, and then poof, he's gone, right? Like he's part of that sort of, that group of these rockers that have.
Well, to be honest, I was angry. I was really angry. And it's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave the music business, because I feel like there is this stupid connection between rock and roll and drugs. And I don't really understand why people think they have to get high in order to be cool, or did. I don't think it's still the case the same way. And I think that there's this culture of enablement amongst famous people who get involved in drugs and then become addicted in some way. But all these people are like leeches around them, right? They want them to continue to do the drugs because then they'll continue to make music and they'll have a career and they all make money and they get to hang out. And so I don't like that. It makes me really sick to my stomach. And I feel like he was a victim of that. I feel like he was a regular guy in a very superficial world, and it ate him up. On that happy note, thank you, Erica, for joining us.
Bring everybody up, Rob and Amy. We're going to do our goodbyes. I'm going to say my thank yous, and I have some notes. Mandy Stobo just joined us. I'm going to get Mandy. She's our arts and crafts camp counselor. She's done amazing portraits of tons of high-profile Canadians, and I'm going to send you a portrait of you, Erica M, by Mandy Stobo.
Wow.
So are we all up, Rob? Okay, well, I have one more question for you, Erica, while we're up. Were you a camper or a Girl Guide or a brownie growing up, or a camper now?
Sister, what you don't understand is my parents owned a summer camp. From the time I was 5 years old, the camp is still running. It's called Camp Kennebec.
I need it.
We're going.
We need to go.
And it's not, my parents don't own it anymore, but the beautiful story is one of the campers bought it. So, yeah, I grew up in a summer camp.
Okay, I love it. You're part of the camp family now. So I want to say a huge thank you to Erica. Like, I'm a crier. I'm not going to cry right now. I'm going to fight it off. But I resonate with so much of your story, and I know campers know who I am, where I come out swinging, right? I started this thing with no money and sort of a dream, and roping my friends into doing stuff with me and for me. And I just, as soon as I had the idea for you, I'm just like, I'm getting Erica M. I'm manifesting it, and here you are as our camp counselor. So I'm so happy we got you, and I love every part of what you shared with us. And you send me anything you want me to share with campers. I am going to have them sign up for all the things and follow every amazing thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
Through all your other ventures. So thank you to Erica M. Thank you, J9. Thank you, Carla. Thank you, Rob. You look so handsome. Amy's behind the scenes. She's not on camera right now. And welcome, Stobo. Stobo's just dropping in at the end of camp.
Coming in hot in her leopard coat.
I have some announcements for you before you guys take off. I'm going to open my notes so I don't miss anything. We have our last camp online of the season, December 15th, is charcuterie camp, which I am calling the perfect spread. We've got a great camp counselor for that one, and we're going to learn a bunch about putting together some perfect spreads. Salty, sweet. You guys love charcuterie. You want charcuterie. We're doing charcuterie.
Yes.
I have a whole bunch of deals in the online store. If you go to the homepage, we've got mugs and some cute little camp mug ornaments. We've got a deal where they're free on orders over $65 with the code Hoo-Ha Holidays, which is on the website. Get your badges. Get your 80s badge. It's got some cute neon embroidery on it. They're available in the store. If you're not into the badges, camp is free. We've got a donation option in the store, so you can donate. Throw us $5. Keep the hoo-ha machine going. Yeah, and I think that's about it. There's some sale stuff in the store. Check it out. We're going to be launching, we do a charity cider sale for with Village Brewery every year in support of High Bank Society. I'll be launching that tomorrow for Calgary campers and supporting our charitable partner. And that's it. Tonight was good. Tonight was good. I love you guys. Thanks for submitting your photos in the Facebook group. I'm going to pick some winners. We've got an 80s contest going on. And that's it. Anything from the team?
Yay!
I'm gonna go and read all the comments now because I didn't have time to read everybody's comments. So I hope you didn't say anything mean about me because I'm going to read them.
But they better not have. I'll be blocking anybody that says anything mean. We've got good campers. So, yes. Thank you, campers. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, team. Erica, stay on. We're going to have a little Zoom after party here if you can stay up for 15 minutes. And we'll see you guys December 15th. Registration for charcuterie is open on the website in about half an hour or two, so you guys can sign up for that. And signing off from 80s Camp.
Bye.
Every camp has a theme song that requires you sing along. The more we keep on drinking, the better we'll start singing. If you like to drink, wanna learn to fix your sink,
Seems like a functional thing.
wanna earn some badges, and unite with other badges. Let's make a place that we belong. Sing the campfire hoo-ha song.
We're going to camp.
Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! Going to camp. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! We're going to camp. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! Going to camp. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha.
Who are you? Are?
You want the fun that camp brings,
I do.
but you really fucking hate camping.
I do.
Can make a craft or have a beer.
Craft beer.
You'll learn some useful shit here. That's what I hear anyway. Let's make a place that we belong and join the campfire hoo-ha song.
We're going to camp.
Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! Going to camp. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Yeah! Going to camp. Hoo-ha, me? Ha, what? Hoo-ha! Going to camp. Hoo-ha, hoo-ha. Hoo-ha, 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 hoo-ha.
That's 2 minutes. You were right. That's funny.